Welcome everyone to this Glide training session. Today's webinar is going to be covering how to use Glide to prepare, fill, send, and sign every realtor form in California. It's going to take approximately 35 minutes of your time, so let's go ahead and get started. Some of the training objectives that we're going to cover today. First, we're going to go through how you can access Glide's form library. Then we'll show you how you can verify an agent and transaction coordinator relationship directly within Glide. Then we'll go through in our live environment how you can create a new transaction, how you can add state and local forms from your form library. Then we'll go through how you can fill out those forms and use our eSignature tool, Glide Signatures. And then lastly, we'll go through how you can create a new transaction template directly within Glide, as well as create your clause manager. But we're going to start off today with first just a general overview of Glide and how you can access Glide's form library. Now, the industry's old process of using multiple forms of communication and many different applications to complete your daily tasks can be confusing, it can be slow, and it leaves a lot of room for errors. Now, with Glide, you can manage multiple parts of that transaction process all from one single platform. We focus on collaboration, compliance, and forms, and we've even created our own eSignature tool. To verify your account to get access to the form library in Glide, either as part of the workflow when signing up for a Glide account or when prompted in Glide, you're first going to enter your NRDS number, then you'll enter your last name. Lastly, you'll click Verify. Once your account is verified, you're now going to have access to the entire standard form library directly within Glide. We also recently launched our mobile application for iOS, and that can be found in the App Store by searching for Glide for Real Estate Agents. You're going to look for the Glide logo just to ensure that you're downloading the correct app. We will have an Android application coming out in the future. So now that we've gone through how you can access Glide's form library, let's show you next how you can verify an agent and transaction coordinator relationship to make sure that your transaction coordinator can get access to the same forms that you have access to directly in Glide. So to verify an agent and transaction coordinator relationship within Glide, in this example, we're going to be looking as the transaction coordinator, but you can do this either starting as the agent or as the transaction coordinator. In this example, as the transaction coordinator, I would click on the top of the screen on my profile dropdown. Then I'll choose Account Settings. From there, over on the left-hand side, choose Account Preferences. Down below, you're going to see two tiles, Assistants and TCs, and Agents You Support. As a transaction coordinator, I would go under the Agents You Support tile and enter in the email address of the agent that I am supporting. Then I would click Invite on the right-hand side. Now on the other end, you're going to have two options as the agent in this example. You'll receive an email, and in that email, there's going to be a big button in the middle. Once you click on that button to verify access to your transaction coordinator, they would then have access to the same form libraries that you do directly within Glide. As an agent, if you're already working within your Glide account, you can just click on your profile dropdown, choose Account Settings, then Account Preferences, and now as an agent, you're going to look at the Assistants and TCs tile. On the right-hand side, there's two tabs, Granted and Received Requests. You're going to click on the Received Request tab. Then you have two options down below, Accept or Ignore this request. You would want to accept that request, and now that's going to give access to the transaction coordinator to the same form libraries that you have access to whenever they're creating transactions on your behalf. So now that we've covered how you can get access to Glide's form library, how you can verify an agent and transaction coordinator relationship, we're next going to be jumping into our live environment for the remainder of the training, and we're going to start off by showing you how to create a new transaction. From your transactions dashboard, once you sign into Glide, on the right-hand side, you're going to be able to click on the New Transaction button. From here, it's first going to ask who is the primary agent for this transaction. Now in this example, I am in here as Alicia Rowland, so I would select Alicia as the agent for this transaction. I'll click continue on the bottom right-hand side. From there, I'd be able to enter the property information for this particular transaction. And you have two options: search by MLS down at the bottom, where you can click on the dropdown, select your MLS from the list, and then enter the MLS number. Once you click continue on the bottom right-hand side, that's going to import all the information over from the MLS directly into Glide for you. You do also have the option to enter an address manually. And if I enter an address here, make my selection, let's say it's going to be El Dorado Drive, then I'll select continue on the bottom right. From there, it's going to ask what type of transaction are you creating? This could be a listing or a purchase, lease listing, or a lease. Let's say for this example, I'm creating a purchase transaction. Then it asks me for the status of the transaction. Maybe it's already under contract, or let's say for this example, it's just pre-contract at this time. Then I have the option to apply a transaction template. Now, I am going to go through later in today's training on how you can create these transaction templates ahead of time, but I want to give you a little synopsis at this time. Transaction templates allow you to add documents and parties to a template that you will be able to select from your drop-down list. Say I'm selecting my purchase transaction template, and it's going to apply or upload those documents as well as the parties that are going to be included in that transaction. Once I click continue on the bottom right, then it's going to ask for any additional members that are part of this purchase team. Maybe you work in a team, you work with another agent, you can add that agent's information here. You can add your broker's information. Notice how it pulled over my transaction coordinator from that transaction template that I applied, but I would be able to add an additional team admin or transaction coordinator from here as well. Once I click continue on the bottom right, then I'm going to need to add the buyer's information. And if I was creating a listing transaction, the biggest difference is that I would be adding a seller instead of a buyer at this stage. From here, if I click on add a buyer, if you've already worked with that contact before, you can just select them from your contacts list. If not, you can always choose create new contact, enter their information, including choosing their entity type, scroll down to the bottom, and then click save. For this example, we'll use Maria Becker as our buyer. I'll scroll down to the bottom, click save, then I'll click continue on the right-hand side. From there, there's one more page that's going to pop up, and it's just asking for any additional details that are part of this transaction. You can click on your parties dropdown and see which parties have already been included. You can add parties from here. You can click on the property information dropdown, and if you use that MLS import initially, it would pre-fill all of this information for you. Notice how you can upload a cover photo by uploading a new image here, and this information essentially acts as your cover sheet. And any information that's filled out in any of these sections is going to pre-fill in your forms going forward. Once you click continue on the bottom right, that's going to create your transaction. Now, if you've already added all of those documents to your transaction template ahead of time that you've now applied to your transaction, you'd be able to go right into filling out those documents. However, maybe your transaction template didn't have all the documents that you needed, and maybe you need to add a couple additional documents at this time. Under your suggested actions, you're going to be able to click on Add Forms to Transaction. That's going to bring up your form library. On the left-hand side, you're going to be able to filter those forms by residential forms, non-residential, miscellaneous forms, and any of the libraries that you have access to are going to be listed down at the bottom left. You can quickly search for documents at the top. You can click on the folders to collapse or expand them. And when you're ready to select documents, just check the boxes to the left of the document name, and then choose Add Document down at the bottom right. Now you can add as many documents as you need to. I'm just doing 2 documents for today's example. Now notice that I did upload 2 documents from the form library, but there's 4 documents listed down below. That's because these 2 at the bottom were pulled over from that transaction template that I applied earlier. If you forgot to apply that transaction template at any point in time in your transaction, you can always click on the ellipsis on the top right-hand side and then choose Apply Templates. And that's going to give you the same options in that drop-down list as we saw when we were initially creating our transaction. Now from here, when you're ready to fill out a document, hover over and click into that document. And we're going to use the RPA as an example today. With our RPA, there's a few different ways that you can fill this out. You can go line by line in the document. You can scroll down and actually click into any of these fields that are needed. Or on the left-hand side, you have what's called our form outline. In our form outline, let's say I go into my additional financing terms here. It's going to take me right to that section within the document. And maybe I'm going into my first loan. Notice how it highlights that section in blue on the form for me. If I enter any information, let's say the first loan amount is going to be $600,000. Notice how it enters it over on the right-hand side. So there's a two-way sync. Anything I enter on the right is going to show up on the left, and anything I enter in the outline on the left is going to show up on the right in the form. Now we also have what's called conditional logic. So if I was to change this from fixed to adjustable, it's going to change the questions that are going to be asked in the rest of this outline. When I'm ready to go to my next section, let's say I click next, and then I want to include a second loan. As soon as I check this box, now it's going to bring up those options and those fields for me to be able to fill out for my second loan information. Let's say that second loan is going to be $200,000. Notice that on the form, it's even going to calculate the information down below for you. If you need to click into any of these fields to type information directly, you just hover over the field, click on it, and then you can type any information that's needed. You can also insert what we call a clause. If I hover over that field, hover over the ellipsis, those three dots on the right-hand side, and then I choose Insert Clause. If you want to create a new clause, just select Add a Clause at the top left. You can enter a title for that clause, and that's going to be for your own information, what type of clause this is, where it's going to be inserted into the document. And then the description is the exact wording that you want added to that form. For example, we've already created a clause ahead of time. We're going to use our RPA financing terms. I'll select the dial on the left and then choose Insert down on the bottom right. And that's going to insert that exact wording directly into that field. I can still click into the field and add or remove any information that's not needed. One more thing I want to show you here is a linked field directly within a form. So for example, we're going to use our property address. Notice when I click into this field that this pop-up on my screen appears. And I'm not clicking directly into the field now. This pop-up means that this is linked directly to your transaction in Glide. If I adjust any information here in this pop-up, it's going to change it for my entire transaction. If you do not want that, maybe you just need to make one little change in this individual field, in this individual document, and you do not want it to change for the rest of your transaction, you can unlink this field. To do that, hover over the field, hover over the ellipsis, those three dots on the right, and then choose Unlink Field. We do give you the option to send us some feedback. Since unlinking fields is not too common, we want to know your use cases for why you might be unlinking this particular field. You can choose Not Right Now, and notice now it's going to be that teal color, just like our additional financing terms up top. Now, if I click into that field and I make any adjustments, it's only going to adjust it for this individual field in this individual document. It would not change anything for the rest of my transaction. After you're done filling out the form, you're going to click Save at the top right-hand side. From here, there's three options on the right: download, e-sign, and email. Now, most agents are not going to be doing one document at a time. They're going to do multiple documents at the same time. So for that, we're going to close on the top left. We're going to go back into our Documents section. Notice how you can click at the top next to Document. It's going to select all of those documents within that particular folder. In this case, this is our general folder, and we can rename this just by clicking on that pencil icon. You can add any new folders that you want to create any type of organization within this document section. You can choose Add Documents drop-down on the top right. Gives you three options to choose from. Upload documents directly from your computer, add them from the form library, or pull them directly from DocuSign after you sign into your account. If you use the Add Documents dropdown, it's going to place this document into whatever folder is on the top. So if you only have one folder at this time, it's going to place it into your general folder. If you do have multiple folders and you want to add a document into a specific folder that might not be on the top of this page, you can always click on the paper with the plus sign. It gives you those same three options that would go directly into this individual folder. Now, in addition, on the left-hand side, you can just check a couple of these boxes or uncheck them to see which documents you'd like to select. And this black bar pops up at the bottom. On this bar, we can send documents off for eSignature, and I'm going to show you that process in just a couple minutes here. You can download documents either before or after they've been signed. You can merge documents together, which is a great option. Say I have these two documents, I want to merge them into one PDF. I'll select my merge button, enter my new document name. I'll just say it's my merge PDF. I have the option to delete the original documents and then click OK. And that'll remove these two documents from my documents section and leave me with my one merge PDF. Now, those documents are not completely deleted from Glide. We do have a deleted docs section over on the left-hand side. And if you click into it, at any point in time, you can restore these documents, or you can, by clicking on the trash can icon, choose to permanently delete them from Glide. If we go back into our document section, I select that document on the left. If I want to move this to a different folder, if I do have different folders within my document section, I can move it from one folder to the next. We also have our own email tool directly within Glide. If I click on this email tool, at the very top, it does allow me to connect to either a Google account or an Outlook account, and I can choose which account I'd like to send this email from. By default, it is going to be a Glide email address. However, maybe I connect it to my Google account and I select to choose to send this email from my Google account. Not only are we going to track this email in our activity section down at the left, but it's also going to show up in your sent mailbox in your Gmail account. You get to choose who you want to send this email to. You can adjust the subject line, add any information into the body of the email, add any additional attachments, even uploading documents directly from your computer, and then click Send at the bottom right. Additionally, we also have a stamp button. If you click on the stamp button, you can add a received buyer or seller stamp directly to that document before you send it off for signature. Now, what I also want to show you is how you can send documents for eSignature. Say I select my RPA for an example. I'm going to choose eSign down at the bottom. The first thing that you're going to see is two options for eSignature providers. We do have Glide Signatures, which is our own eSignature tool that we've created at Glide. It's 100% completely free for you to use. Or if you use DocuSign, we do have a full integration with DocuSign as well. If you choose this option, it would require you to sign into your DocuSign account first, and then you're going to have all of the same functionality that you're used to with a DocuSign account. You have one more chance to add any additional documents that are going to be sent off for signature. You can also choose to replace the original once it's been signed. This is going to be checked by default, and this is going to take your original document and move it to the trash can and leave you with your one signed copy in your documents section after it comes back. Once you click Continue on the bottom right, then you're going to be able to choose who's going to sign and who just needs to be a recipient of this document. Notice how we have a toggle at the top where you can choose to set a signing order, and by turning this on, it will be off by default. Once you turn this on, you can adjust the placement of the signing order by clicking, dragging, and dropping, or you can use the numbers on the left-hand side. Maybe Maria has a lawyer that wants to view this documentation after it's been signed. I would be able to select Add a Recipient, add their name and their email address, and then choose the dropdown on the right and select CC. CC is carbon copy. Just like in an email, it's going to send them a signed copy of that document after all parties have signed it. So it'll automatically place that lawyer in this example at the very bottom of this signing order. Once you have your signers and recipients set, click Continue at the bottom right. From there, it's going to take you directly into the document where I would now be able to add any additional tabs that are needed. You'll notice that it automatically auto tabs these tabs on the document for me. But if I wanted to add any additional tabs, I can choose which individual I'd like to select to add tabs for. In this case, I have the buyer agent and the buyer. If I want to add a tab, I just click, drag and drop, and I can move that anywhere I want to on the screen. We also have initial tabs, date sign, radio tabs, which is essentially just a circle instead of a square for a checkbox. We have text tabs where you can add this, and you can even expand it over one of those fields, and that individual would be able to type directly into this text field. We also have a drop-down option where you can choose on the right-hand side which options are going to be available in that drop-down list. To delete these tabs, click on the trash can on the top right, and it'll remove it from that document. I can select that tab, and I also have the option to choose whether this is a required field, or if I uncheck this box, now it becomes an optional tab. Check it again, it then becomes a required field. Once you have all of your tabs set, click Continue on the bottom right. From there, you can add a message to those recipients, and you can adjust the subject line, add a message into what would be the body of that email. And if this is a long message that you're manually typing, you don't have to type it out every single time. You can just save it as a template, and the next time you come in to send off a document for signature, just apply that same template you created previously. You have one more chance to edit the recipients and the documents before you click Send on the bottom right. After the documents have been sent successfully, you can choose Back to Transaction. From here, it's going to say Waiting for Signature next to that document. I'd be able to go into my Signature section on the left-hand side, and at any point in time, I can hover over that status. I'd be able to see that it was sent to Alicia first, since we did set that signing order. Once it's signed by Alicia, then it would be sent to Maria, who would sign it. Once Maria signs it, then it's going to come back into your document section as a signed copy of that document. Now, one feature I do want to show you today that's also a Glide Pro feature. So if you do have a Glide Pro membership, you're going to have access to our auto splitting tool. To use our auto splitting tool, you can click on that document. In this case, we have a large 17-page PDF as an example. I'll click Split on the top right-hand side. It's going to detect those forms for me automatically, split them out on the left-hand side, and notice how it even has the title of those documents. You can choose to delete the original document down at the bottom, and then choose Split. And if I choose this option, it's going to move that 17-page PDF into my deleted docs section, and it's going to leave me with my 6 individual documents split out in my document section. If I go into my deleted docs, here is that 17-page PDF. Now, we've gone through a lot of information so far today. We showed you how to create a new transaction, how you can merge documents, how you can split them, how you can send them off for signature. How do you track all of the information that you've done so far in this transaction? Well, we have this activity section over on the left-hand side. And once you click into it, it's going to show you an activity log of all your recent activity for this transaction. If I scroll down to the bottom, you'll even notice that there's timestamps over on the right-hand side. It shows that I initially created this transaction. I applied my transaction template, which automatically added my transaction coordinator, imported my RPA into my document section. I manually uploaded a couple documents from the form library, merged 2 documents together, sent off an envelope for signature, and split out my large PDF. We even have an email communication section on the right-hand side where it's going to show any emails that have been sent or received from your Glide account. We also have what's called a unique email alias. If you click into your document section on the left, right next to your general folder, you're going to see this email address that you can click on. It's going to copy it to your clipboard. Now, this inbox.glide.com email address is specific to this individual property. What I would be able to do with this email address is add it as a CC, a carbon copy, on any email outside of Glide. And when you're sending email communications back and forth, as long as this is CC'd on those email chains, it's going to pull that information directly into your activity section in your email communication section. Additionally, maybe you were sending PDF documents back and forth in the email chain. It's going to take those PDF documents, pull them directly into Glide, and put those documents into your general folder here. Now, the last couple things I want to show you for today's training is how you can create transaction templates and your clause manager ahead of time. To create a transaction template, click on the top right-hand side on your profile dropdown. Then choose Transaction Templates. From here, I'll choose Create New Template on the top right. I would then enter in a template title. And for this example, I'll say this is my sample purchase transaction template. Then I would select the transaction type. Now for this example, since we're creating a purchase transaction template, I'll say this is going to be for my purchase transaction type. What that means is maybe I'm creating a listing in the future. This sample purchase transaction template would not be available for me in my drop-down list of templates to choose from whenever I'm creating that listing transaction. It's only going to be applicable when I'm creating a purchase transaction in the future. Once I have my options set, click Create Template on the right. From here, I can add any additional documents that I'd like to have as part of this template. There's 3 ways to do that. You can click on Add Documents drop down on the top right. You can click on the paper with a plus sign, or you can click on Add Document down at the bottom. Keep in mind that you can add additional folders here for different organization within this template. And if you use the Add Documents drop down on the top right, it's going to add that document to whatever folder is on the very top of this document section. Well, let's say I wanted to add in my RPA. I know I'm always going to need my RPA for my purchase transactions. So we're going to click on Add Document down at the bottom. In this example, I'll choose Add from Library. I can quickly search for my RPA at the top, select that document, and then choose Add Document down at the bottom. Now you can do as many documents as you want to, 40, 50, 60 documents. I'm just doing 1 for today's training. In addition to adding documents ahead of time, you can also add parties. If I click into my Details and Parties section, from here I can choose to add a party on the right-hand side. And maybe in this example, I know that I have the same transaction coordinator that works with me on all of my purchase transactions. I can add that transaction coordinator to this template ahead of time. In this example, I'll choose Buyer Team TC, select my transaction coordinator from my contacts list, scroll down to the bottom, then click Save. From there, now anytime that I apply this purchase transaction template, Valerie is automatically added as my transaction coordinator, and I'm automatically going to have my RPA uploaded into my documents section. Notice how you can even create your offer package ahead of time. If you click on the Offer Package tab, you can upload those documents either from your computer, from the form library. We can add them from the template, which would pull it from this document section in your template, or you can add those documents directly from DocuSign. That way, whenever you're creating and you're going to submit an offer package in the future as a buyer agent, you can already have all the documentation that's needed in this offer package section. Once you're done creating your template, choose Back to Templates list. From here, I'd be able to hover over that template, hover over that ellipsis, click on those 3 dots, and it gives me 3 options to choose from. I can edit this template at any point in time by adding or removing any documents or parties. I can clone this, which is a great option if you need to create multiple templates that are very similar. Maybe you have 3 separate templates that have most of the same documents. You can just make one, clone it, and then add or remove any documents from those additional templates that you need to create. You can also choose to delete this template. It is going to ask if you're sure you want to delete the template. Once you select OK, it's going to be permanently deleted from Glide. Now, one of the good things is that since we do connect with the form library, anytime CAR updates their forms, they're automatically updated within Glide's form library as well. And not only are they updated within the form library, but they're going to be updated within those transaction templates also. The only place where the documents are not going to be automatically updated is within the transaction that has already been created. And that's because maybe if you're halfway through filling out one of those forms or you're about to send it off for signature, you probably don't want any fields added or removed without your knowledge. For that reason, we are working on a notification system at this time to let you know when any of those forms need to be replaced or there's an update that's available for that particular form. Now, last thing I want to show you today is how to create a clause within your clause manager. If you click on the top right-hand side on that profile dropdown, choose Clause Manager. From here, I can choose to create a new clause. I would enter in the title. Let's just say it's my sample clause. And that title is just going to be for your own information, what type of document this is going to be added to, where within that document. And then the description is the exact wording that's going to be added to that document. Once you click Create Clause, it's going to be added to your list, and you'll be able to hover over that clause, hover over the ellipsis, those three dots, click on it, and it gives you two options. Edit, which means you can add or remove any wording at any point in time, or you can delete it. And once you select OK, it'll be permanently deleted from your list. So a lot of information that we've covered so far today. At this point in time, I'm going to jump back into my slide deck to wrap up the training for today. For today's training, we first looked at how you can access Glide's form library. Then we went through the process of how you can verify an agent and transaction coordinator relationship to make sure that your transaction coordinators can get access to the same form libraries that you have access to whenever they're creating transactions on your behalf. We went into our live environment and showed you how you can create a new transaction, how you can add state and local forms from your form library, how you can fill out those forms and also use our eSignature tool, Glide Signatures. Then lastly, we went through the process of creating a transaction template and also a clause within your clause manager. So that is going to do it for today's training. Thank you everyone for joining. If you need any additional help, you can always go to our help center, which is going to be help.glide.com. There's a lot of great resources available for you. If you ever need to reach out to our support team, you can reach them by emailing support@glide.com.